While King Charles and his siblings often find themselves in the midst of royal drama, Prince Edward has managed to stay out of the media frenzy. Known for his low-key lifestyle, the Queen's youngest son has kept his private life remarkably private, leaving many curious about his world behind the palace walls. But why does he avoid the tabloid spotlight? In this video, we'll explore Prince Edward's quiet life, uncover some hidden details, and find out how he's managed to maintain his privacy while still being a key figure in the royal family. Get ready to discover a side of him you rarely see. Edward's unique birth, a new era for the monarchy. Prince Edward, the youngest child of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, was born on March 10, 1964, in London, marking a new chapter in the history of the British monarchy. His birth was not just another addition to the royal family, but a moment of significance that symbolized the passing of time and the evolution of the monarchy itself. Edward's arrival, nearly 16 years after his older brother, Prince Charles, was a reflection of a changing royal dynamic. Edward was not merely the youngest of the royal children. He was part of a generation that would carry the royal family into the future, all while maintaining the core values and traditions that had made the monarchy so enduring. A symbol of the changing times. For Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, the birth of Edward was different from the arrival of their previous children. The monarchy had already weathered the turbulence of the 20th century, witnessing both global conflicts and national changes. By the time Edward was born, the royal family had seen the world evolve, with shifting public perceptions of their role and the increased scrutiny of their personal lives. Prince Edward's birth, however, was a hopeful symbol of continuity in a rapidly changing world. He was the next generation of royals, the link between the Queen's reign and the uncertain future of the monarchy in the 21st century. The world into which Edward was born was vastly different from that of his older siblings. The 1960s were a time of societal upheaval, with movements for civil rights, women's rights, and decolonization reshaping the world. The monarchy, which had long been seen as a symbol of tradition and stability, was facing new challenges as it sought to remain relevant in an ever-changing landscape. Edward's birth, coming at a time when the Queen had already been on the throne for over a decade, marked a new phase of her reign, one where the younger generation was expected to take a more active role in public life. In this context, Edward was not just a royal infant, but a beacon for the future. A historic moment in the delivery room. What made Edward's birth stand out from his siblings' arrivals was the Queen's decision to break with royal tradition and invite her husband, Prince Philip, into the delivery room. Historically, the British royal family had been known for their strict adherence to tradition, particularly when it came to the birth of royal children. The birth of royal heirs was seen as a highly formal event, with little room for personal involvement from the father. The Queen, however, defied this custom when she chose to have Prince Philip by her side during Edward's birth. This groundbreaking decision was a departure from the way previous royal births had been handled, marking a significant shift in the monarchy's approach to family life and parenting. Ingrid Seward's book, My Husband and I, the inside story of 70 years of royal marriage, offers insight into the Queen's motivations for this choice. At the time, the notion of fathers being present during childbirth was beginning to gain traction, thanks in part to discussions in women's magazines and the growing influence of feminist movements. The Queen, having already experienced childbirth 3 times, was no stranger to the demands and challenges of motherhood. But with the birth of Edward, she found herself at a crossroads between royal tradition and a more modern view of parenting. Having Prince Philip in the delivery room was a powerful statement of equality and partnership within their marriage. The Queen's decision reflected her belief in the importance of shared family responsibility, as well as her desire to embrace some of the changes that were taking place in society at the time. The image of Prince Philip, a traditionally stoic and somewhat distant figure in the delivery room with his wife, showed a side of him that the public rarely saw: a devoted father and supportive husband. This small yet impactful act reshaped the public's perception of the royal family, humanizing the monarchy and signaling a shift in how royals might approach family life in the future. The significance of Edward's name. When Prince Edward was christened a few months after his birth, he was given the name Edward Anthony Richard Lewis. The naming of royal children is a deeply significant process, with names often carrying historical and familial weight. Edward, named after several royal ancestors, was a name steeped in tradition, as it had been borne by various monarchs throughout British history. In keeping with royal customs, the name Anthony was chosen as a middle name, but it was also a name with personal significance, as it was reportedly one of the Queen's favourite names. Richard, another middle name, was likely chosen to honour the memory of Edward's maternal grandfather, King George VI, who had died just a few years earlier. Louis, the final middle name, reflected the Queen's admiration for her uncle, Prince Louis of Battenberg, further cementing Edward's place in a family rich with royal history. The christening ceremony itself, which took place in the private chapel at Windsor Castle, was an intimate affair, attended by close family and a few select friends. The occasion was not a grand public spectacle like the christenings of some of his more prominent relatives. Instead, it was a quiet and personal moment for the family to welcome Edward into the world, both as a member of the royal family and as a future representative of the British monarchy. A close relationship with Prince Philip. Prince Edward's relationship with his father, Prince Philip, was one of warmth and mutual respect. Prince Philip, known for his no-nonsense approach to fatherhood, was deeply involved in his children's lives. However, it was with Edward that his relationship seemed to be especially close. Growing up, Edward was often seen as the more introspective and sensitive of the royal siblings, and he formed a particularly strong bond with his father. Edward's admiration for Prince Philip was evident in the heartfelt tributes he paid to him after his passing in April 2021. In his statements, Edward spoke about the lasting impact his father had on him, praising Philip for his intelligence, sense of humour, and strong sense of duty. Edward was deeply influenced by Prince Philip's values and teachings, and he often credited his father for shaping his own sense of responsibility and dedication. In interviews and public statements, Edward spoke fondly of how Philip's unshakable love for his family, his commitment to service, and his devotion to the Queen influenced him throughout his life. Their relationship was not just one of father and son, it was also one of mentor and pupil, as Edward learned valuable lessons in leadership, resilience, and public duty from his father. Early education, a royal child's upbringing. From an early age, Prince Edward was afforded an education tailored to the unique circumstances of his royal position. Like his siblings, Edward began his schooling at Buckingham Palace, where he was taught by private tutors who tailored their lessons to his specific needs as a royal heir. This early education, which focused on both academic subjects and practical life skills, set the stage for the well-rounded individual Edward would become. However, his education was not confined to the walls of the palace. At the age of 7, Edward attended Gibbs School in Kensington, an exclusive preparatory school for the children of the British elite. There, he excelled in his studies while also indulging his love for extracurricular activities, including music and sports. Edward's time at Gibbs was formative, helping him develop a deep sense of discipline and responsibility. But it was at Heatherdown Preparatory School, nestled in the serene countryside of Berkshire, where Edward's education truly flourished. Heatherdown's idyllic setting provided a balance of academics and outdoor activities, which helped Edward develop an appreciation for nature and physical fitness, all while allowing him the space to form lasting friendships with his classmates. As he grew older, Edward attended Gordonstoun School in Scotland, a school with a rigorous curriculum and a focus on physical fitness, outdoor education, and character building. Gordonstoun was known for its tough, no-nonsense approach to education, and it was here that Edward's leadership skills began to shine. As head boy, he demonstrated a natural ability to lead his peers and inspire others. His time at Gordonstoun solidified his sense of discipline, responsibility, and the importance of maintaining a strong work ethic. Edward's academic journey continued when he spent 6 months in New Zealand at Wanganui Collegiate School, where he was immersed in a completely different cultural environment. During this time, he worked as a tutor and drama class supervisor, gaining valuable life experiences that would influence his future career path. His time in New Zealand broadened his horizons, allowing him to see the world from a fresh perspective, while deepening his appreciation for different cultures. Edward's decision to pursue the arts. Despite his royal background, Edward was determined to carve his own path in life, and he chose to pursue a career in the arts, a field that was in stark contrast to the traditional royal roles his siblings had followed. Initially, Edward joined the Royal Marines as a university cadet, but after a short stint, he realized that military life was not for him. Instead, he found his calling in the world of theatre and production. Edward's passion for the arts led him to work alongside the legendary composer Andrew Lloyd Webber, where he gained hands-on experience in musical theatre. This collaboration marked the beginning of Edward's deep involvement in the entertainment industry, and it was a significant departure from the royal expectations placed upon him. Despite facing skepticism from some quarters of the royal family, Edward remained committed to his creative ambitions, and his work with Webber would prove to be a pivotal moment in his life. Through his involvement in the theatre and television production, Edward sought to establish his own identity outside the constraints of his royal heritage. This desire for independence culminated in the launch of Ardent Productions, his own television production company. Through Ardent, Edward produced a variety of television programs and documentaries, many of which focused on his family's history and the British monarchy. A rocky start in television production. Prince Edward's foray into the world of entertainment began in the late 1980s and early 1990s, when he founded his own television production company, Ardent Productions. The company's early projects were largely seen as an attempt by the prince to step outside of the royal spotlight and carve out a career for himself that was independent of the royal family's established roles. His ventures, particularly in the realm of documentary production and television programming, aimed to highlight human interest stories, as well as issues concerning the royal family and public life. However, despite his genuine passion for these projects, Ardent Productions faced significant hurdles from the outset. The company struggled to secure lasting partnerships with major broadcasters, and many of its programs failed to resonate with a broad audience. The financial struggles that followed were considerable, leading to a series of tough decisions that ultimately saw the prince's professional ambitions in the entertainment industry falter. The Ardent Productions' downfall was particularly jarring given the royal family's typical standing as paragons of tradition, dignity, and stability. Prince Edward's foray into television production seemed, at the time, a bold move that sought to modernize his image and establish his own identity away from the royal palace. However, the collapse of Ardent Productions proved to be a reality check, one that would eventually push him towards a more conventional path within the royal family. The influence of family legacy. As his production company floundered, Prince Edward increasingly found himself reconsidering his role within the royal family. The public had always expected members of the monarchy to focus their attention on royal duties, public service, and charitable efforts. For Edward, the stark reality of financial losses and the looming pressure of royal expectations made it difficult to maintain a balance between his professional and royal lives. The royal family, under the guidance of Queen Elizabeth II, was a symbol of stability and service. Her long reign had established a legacy of duty, with each member of the royal family tasked with contributing to the public good through charity work, cultural endeavours, and international diplomacy. Prince Edward, having observed his family's deep-rooted commitment to service, came to the realization that his future lay not in the world of entertainment, but in fulfilling the obligations handed down to him by his ancestors. This turning point came with the financial struggles of Ardent Productions, which ultimately served as a catalyst for Edward's shift in focus. Not only was it an opportunity for him to realign his priorities, but it also became a turning point where he could embrace the royal duties that were expected of him. As Edward's career in television slowly faded, he redirected his energy towards supporting the royal causes that were close to his heart. This meant taking on a more prominent role in public events and focusing on the charitable work that was so deeply ingrained in the royal family's mission. Embracing public service and philanthropy. After the collapse of his production company, Prince Edward found renewed purpose in public service. He immersed himself in a variety of royal duties, particularly in areas related to youth development and international diplomacy. One of his most significant roles was his involvement with the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, an initiative founded by his father, Prince Philip, in 1956. The award aims to encourage young people to engage in a wide range of challenging activities, promoting personal growth, self-reliance, and social responsibility. As a committed patron of the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, Prince Edward worked tirelessly to ensure its continued success and relevance, not just in the UK, but internationally. His role in the organisation extended beyond ceremonial duties. He actively supported initiatives to expand the award to more young people around the world, including areas where youth development opportunities were limited. In addition to his work with the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, Prince Edward also oversees the Earl and Countess of Wessex's Trust, a charitable fund that focuses on supporting initiatives related to youth, education, and social welfare. The Trust aims to make a lasting impact on young people's lives by providing them with the resources they need to reach their full potential, much like the values instilled by his family. Throughout the years, Edward has consistently championed causes related to youth and education, recognizing that the future of society depends on investing in its younger generation. His charitable endeavours have ranged from supporting local community projects to working with global organisations that seek to eradicate poverty, improve education, and promote equality for all. Personal life and the support of his family. While Prince Edward's career and royal duties flourished, his personal life also played a crucial role in shaping his future. In 1999, he married Sophie Rhys-Jones, a woman who would become not only his wife, but also his closest confidant and partner in public service. The couple's relationship blossomed in a way that seemed destined from the start. They met at a charity tennis event organised by Edward, and their shared interests and mutual respect quickly formed a strong bond. Their love story, which has since become one of the most enduring in the royal family, was marked by their commitment to one another and the ability to keep their relationship largely out of the public eye during its early stages. Sophie, who was a successful public relations executive before her marriage, found herself thrust into the spotlight as Prince Edward's wife. But she handled the royal scrutiny with grace and dignity. A royal union built on trust. In January 1999, Prince Edward and Sophie's engagement was announced, setting the stage for a joyous royal wedding. The announcement of their engagement was met with widespread public excitement and was seen as a hopeful, uplifting event for the royal family, particularly in the wake of the tumultuous years that had followed Princess Diana's death. The couple's engagement was followed by an intimate royal wedding ceremony on June 19, 1999, held at St. George's Chapel at Windsor Castle. The wedding was a blend of royal tradition and personal touches, creating an event that balanced public expectations with the couple's desire for privacy. As part of the wedding, Sophie was gifted a stunning tiara by Queen Elizabeth II, a symbol of her acceptance into the royal family. The tiara, a magnificent piece crafted by the former crown jeweller David Thomas, was a royal heirloom, sparkling with diamonds and precious stones. It was a mark of both Sophie's new status as a member of the royal family and her growing bond with the Queen. The exchange of gifts between the couple further symbolised their love and commitment. Sophie, for her part, presented Prince Edward with an 18-carat gold pocket watch, a thoughtful gift that reflected the deep affection they shared. Sophie's role within the royal family. As Sophie settled into her new role as Countess of Wessex, she quickly forged a strong relationship with Queen Elizabeth II. Sophie's connection with the Queen was unique within the royal family, as it was not merely one of duty, but of genuine friendship and mutual respect. Sources close to the royal family have often described Sophie as the Queen's favourite, a role that was cemented over the years through shared experiences and Sophie's unwavering loyalty and support. Sophie's relationship with the Queen transcended that of a daughter-in-law and mother-in-law. Royal aides have described Sophie as almost like a second daughter to Her Majesty, a trusted confidant with whom the Queen could share both personal and royal matters. Their bond, steeped in warmth and familiarity, was reflected in the Queen's interactions with Sophie, which were often described as being reminiscent of her relationship with her late sister, Princess Margaret. This close connection has set Sophie apart from other members of the royal family. Her influence within the royal household is undeniable, and over time she has become a crucial ally and companion to the Queen, providing support and companionship both in public appearances and in private moments. Prince Edward's title choice. A personal decision. When Prince Edward married Sophie, he was bestowed with the title of Earl of Wessex, a decision that deviated from the traditional royal protocol. Unlike his brothers, who were granted the title of Duke upon their marriages, Prince Edward's choice to adopt the title of Earl of Wessex raised eyebrows. The decision has since been interpreted as a reflection of his personal tastes and interests, rather than any form of rebellion against royal tradition. The title of Earl of Wessex was, in fact, inspired by Prince Edward's favourite film, Shakespeare in Love. The character of the Earl of Wessex, a charming yet flawed figure, struck a chord with Prince Edward, who felt that this title better represented his character and aspirations than the more conventional Duke of Edinburgh. Despite the title's divergence from royal norms, it became an integral part of Edward's identity, a symbol of his individuality and his desire to carve out a personal legacy that aligned with his interests rather than following in the footsteps of his predecessors. As Prince Edward continues to serve his family and country, the title of Earl of Wessex remains a personal testament to his distinct path within the royal family. It is a reminder of his unique journey, one shaped by his desire to balance his royal duties with his personal values and passions. A father's love and favouritism. Throughout his life, Prince Edward's devotion to his family, particularly to his children, has been apparent. Since becoming a father, Prince Edward has openly expressed his love for his children, Lady Louise Windsor and James, Viscount Severn. He has consistently made it clear that family comes first and that his role as a father takes precedence over his royal duties. Unlike other members of the royal family who have faced intense public scrutiny for their parenting decisions, Prince Edward and Sophie have worked tirelessly to protect their children's privacy. Despite this, there have been occasional moments when Prince Edward has publicly displayed his deep love and affection for his children. Whether it is in a simple gesture, such as attending their school events or participating in family outings, Prince Edward has always made it clear that his children are the centre of his world. Their role within the royal family is also unique, as they have been able to maintain a relatively low-profile existence compared to other royal children. While Lady Louise and James have certainly been part of royal events and engagements, they have also been allowed to experience a more private, normal upbringing, away from the prying eyes of the press. This reflects Prince Edward's desire to ensure that his children are able to live life to the fullest, outside of the rigid constraints of royal duties. Prince Edward's relationship with Prince Philip, a deep bond and a legacy of trust. Prince Edward's life has always been intertwined with that of his father, Prince Philip, whose influence has profoundly shaped his journey both as a royal and as a family man. Throughout their relationship, Prince Philip's support for Edward and his wife Sophie has been a defining feature. Prince Philip, who had spent decades in royal service, had always placed great importance on the continuity and strength of the monarchy. As he began to step back from public life, due to advancing age and health concerns, he gradually entrusted a greater share of his royal responsibilities to Prince Edward and Sophie. This decision was not only a reflection of their loyalty to the crown, but also a deep testament to the trust and confidence Prince Philip had in his son. Prince Philip, known for his often tough demeanour, was, however, always seen as a mentor to Edward. Over the years, it became apparent that Prince Philip saw in Edward not just a son, but a trusted ally in the monarchy's evolving future. Edward and Sophie, who had long avoided the scandals and public controversies that affected some of their more prominent royal peers, became increasingly central figures in the royal family. Prince Philip's endorsement was significant, given his long-standing leadership within the royal household. His quiet but steady guidance allowed Edward to come into his own as a reliable, committed royal, capable of handling responsibilities with a combination of grace and determination. Their relationship was built not on grandiose public displays, but on mutual respect and shared values. Prince Philip's acknowledgement of Edward's abilities reflected his belief that Edward, despite being the youngest of the Queen's children, was more than capable of stepping into larger roles as the monarchy evolved and began to share its duties with a younger generation. Sophie and Edward's graceful contribution to the monarchy. Sophie, Countess of Wessex, has been widely admired for her ability to balance royal duties with a down-to-earth demeanour. Much like her husband, Sophie's contributions to the monarchy have been marked by a quiet dignity. She has proven to be a stabilizing force within the royal family, frequently stepping up to attend events and carry out duties without seeking the limelight. In contrast to some of the more attention-seeking royals, Sophie has captured the public's affection with her unpretentious and compassionate nature. Sophie's involvement in a range of charities and her focus on causes such as children's welfare, the armed forces, and the prevention of blindness have earned her respect both within the royal family and among the public. She and Edward have developed a reputation for being hard-working and deeply committed to their roles. In a royal landscape that can sometimes be marred by scandal and rivalry, their stability and strong sense of duty have set them apart. Their approach is far from flashy. Sophie and Edward have never courted controversy or been the subjects of tabloid gossip, which has made them stand out as models of royal decorum. This modesty has not gone unnoticed by those close to the family. Royal insiders often remark on Edward's humble demeanour and Sophie's grounded simplicity. These qualities have created a rare combination within the monarchy, where public figures are often scrutinised for their personal lives. In an era when the British royal family was facing increasing challenges to its relevance, particularly in the wake of the scandals surrounding Prince Charles and Princess Diana, Sophie and Edward's relatively quiet existence became a source of inspiration. In 2011, when the couple took on even more royal duties after Prince Philip's health issues, their ability to represent the Queen without unnecessary fanfare further solidified their importance within the family. Through their work, they became a quiet but steadfast support for Queen Elizabeth II, who had relied on her children and grandchildren to step up as she aged. The trust placed in Edward and Sophie to take on significant roles within the family reflected not only their individual capabilities, but also their collective strength as a couple. The deep impact of Prince Philip's passing. The death of Prince Philip in April 2021 was a seismic event for the royal family. It marked the end of an era, as the Duke of Edinburgh had been a constant figure throughout the Queen's reign. For Edward, losing his father was a deeply personal and profound experience. The bond between them was built on years of shared history, and Prince Philip had been a guiding force throughout Edward's life. In interviews following his father's death, Edward spoke candidly about the shock and sorrow he felt. His words resonated with many who had watched the relationship between father and son evolve over the years. Edward described the loss as something that he had not been prepared for, despite the gradual decline in Prince Philip's health. The grief was not just about the death of a father, but also the loss of a trusted mentor and confidant. Edward expressed that the royal family was still coming to terms with the enormity of the loss, a sentiment that rang true for both the British public and for those close to the royal family. Prince Philip's passing left a void that, at that time, seemed impossible to fill. In the days following Prince Philip's death, Edward's statement to the media about their collective sorrow was heartfelt and deeply moving. He reflected on the man his father had been, both as a public figure and as a family member. Prince Philip had been a man of action, a supporter of the Queen, and a father who, while perhaps not the most outwardly affectionate, showed his love and devotion through his actions. His influence would remain with Edward, his children, and the monarchy for generations to come. The struggle with infertility, a personal trial. Behind the public grace and royal duties, Prince Edward and Sophie faced one of their most personal challenges: the struggle with infertility. Their path to parenthood was not an easy one, and it was marked by heartbreaking moments that tested their emotional strength. In 2001, after facing difficulty conceiving, the couple turned to in vitro fertilization, IVF, in the hopes of starting their family. Their joy quickly turned to grief when Sophie suffered an ectopic pregnancy, an experience that left the couple devastated. The emotional toll of the miscarriage was immense, and they were forced to grapple not just with the loss of a child, but with the uncertainties surrounding their ability to have children at all. This difficult time in their lives brought the couple closer together as they leaned on each other for support. The journey was painful, but it also solidified their bond. They were determined to try again, never losing sight of their dream of becoming parents. Their perseverance paid off in 2003 when Sophie became pregnant again, and their joy knew no bounds when Lady Louise Windsor was born. However, their joy was tempered by the medical complications that followed. Sophie faced a difficult pregnancy marked by the condition known as placental abruption, which posed serious risks to both her and the baby. It was a tense and uncertain time, as both Sophie and her baby were in danger. Prince Edward remained steadfast by his wife's side, offering her his constant support. The birth of Lady Louise was a triumph for the family, and both mother and child emerged from the ordeal stronger than before. The health challenges of Lady Louise and the strength of family. Just 3 years after Lady Louise's birth, the family faced another health scare, this time involving their daughter's eyes. Lady Louise was diagnosed with a congenital eye issue that required multiple hospital visits and medical attention. This new challenge brought another wave of uncertainty and fear. The couple, already experienced in navigating difficult times, once again leaned on each other for strength. Through their daughter's treatment, Sophie and Edward remained unwavering in their support, providing Lady Louise with a nurturing environment as she faced the uncertainty of her condition. The family's ability to cope with these challenges reflected not only their resilience, but also the deep love and commitment they had for one another. In the face of adversity, their unity was a powerful testament to their strength as a family. The birth of James, Viscount Severn, a new hope. In 2007, Prince Edward and Sophie's family grew with the birth of their son, James, Viscount Severn. His arrival brought renewed joy and hope to the family, offering a sense of balance after years of emotional turmoil. His birth was a moment of joy and celebration, and it gave Lady Louise a new sibling with whom she would share her life. James brought a fresh energy to the family, and his laughter and affection filled their home. With James's birth came his title, Viscount Severn, connecting him to a long lineage of nobility. As he grew, James became a source of inspiration to Lady Louise, embodying the strength and resilience that their family had cultivated over the years. Their sibling bond became a critical part of their shared journey, and they stood by one another as they faced life's challenges.